And my blockers.
Oh, you got. Oh, you doing the shout out to
Right.
Shawty Soprano?
My blockers. This is it right here.
Okay. All right, y'all. So we actually live.
Yes.
We
All
are.
right.
We are. Y'all ready?
Good
live.
morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And we're gonna fade to host. Let me see. All right, and there we are. We live, y'all. Good morning. Welcome to the Tampa Bay
Good
Breakfast
morning.
Club. I'm your brother John,
This is the one and only Carla B.
and we have some special guests in the building with us. Sister Nayyirah Muhammad.
Yes,
Brother
Sister
Dawood.
Nayyirah.
Yeah. So
And he's over there trying to get the social media
he doing.
aspect right. Maybe he
Is
should.
it wrong for us to refer to Brother David
You wanna
as
sit down?
as the husband of Sister Nayyirah?
Right.
No.
It's a running joke. It's an in-house running joke.
Yeah, we
Right.
do.
We're sorry. We know he has his own
Right.
presence.
There we go. Tampa Bay Breakfast Club, the top one. Yeah, there we go.
All
All right,
right.
so look, so we're actually here. We're up, and we're here to help you start your week off right. With your community radio station, you can listen live on 99 Jams the Berg in your car, 99.1 FM. You can also join us on Facebook Live at facebook.com/Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. Help us spread the word by liking the page, sharing
That's right.
the videos.
Like the page.
Believe that this program is being brought to you as part of the New Image Project from the Community Development and Training Center, aka CDAT, and we would like to thank you for tuning in and helping us redefine what's cool, what's good, y'all. What's happening?
Well, Brother John, can I just point out that this morning, not every morning, just this morning in particular, just this morning, I felt like I was getting my Brother John on because I did a 3-mile walk.
Oh, nice.
Shane did a 4-mile. I did a 3-mile. So I'm at 9,000 steps right now. So
Okay,
it's only going up from here. It's only getting better from here, y'all.
Gets better. Yeah, so that 1-a-day challenge. So that's when we talk about health and healthy living, we got this challenge. It's called the 1-a-day challenge. And the goal is to do at least 1 mile a day. And so we got a group that we have established about a year ago with the goal of doing 1 mile a day for 21 days straight. Sometimes we on it, sometimes we off, but what they say, you fall down 10 times, get back up 11 or something like that. And so, thank you for participating and being a part of that. Definitely want to encourage everybody to like the page. Make sure that you share the page. We logging in now, and we're going to get started with the news and information. But you had a crazy week. I saw the Youth Farm project. What's happening with the Youth Farm? What's going on?
It's all the way up. So the Youth Farm, we have 15 young people that are all interns. I call them youth ambassadors.
Wow.
They have been enjoying a different side of St. Pete, the agriculture side, the entrepreneurial side, the leadership side. This is just who they are. They're brilliant. Yes, they're dealing with different traumas from the community, but every day, Brother John, every day they come out and give it their all. I was so proud of them yesterday. Friday, that was not part of the program. That was just I'm like, we need to go see multiple farms.
Right.
And I need to take y'all to introduce you to some people in the community, shout out to Jug.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So look,
now look, when you take a group of kids to go see Jug, you doing real stuff.
Real talk.
You doing real work.
Well, what was funny was here's the funny stuff. He literally he told them a lot of straight up information as soon as they got out the car. Look, I feed the plants what I eat. If it's good enough for me to eat it, it's good enough for me to feed it to the plant.
And that's why the one had jerk chicken on it.
He was the jerk.
Because I seen a tree that had jerk chicken next
they
to
asked,
it.
They asked that question. I had to post that picture because he was like, "No, that's just a sign that says we sell jerk chicken here."
Okay, but he had it right by the tree, like he was growing jerk chicken.
They had to ask. But we saw so many. We went to 7 different local farms and gardens, and just to take a look, because as we're planning the garden that's going to be and the farm that's going to be right behind Enoch Davis's parking lot, that big, just a little over 3/4 of an acre. In order for them to really lead it, I need to expose them to as many gardens. That they have to be exposed to beekeeping. They have to be exposed to worms. But what was interesting for them, which is why I'm glad that I took them to so many places, was everyone else composted one way. Jug compost a completely different way.
Right.
So he composts right at the root of the plant.
Okay.
So when he's telling them information, they didn't even step on the soil right before he started telling them that the food that we're putting in our body is killing us.
Yeah.
It's giving us cancer.
Right.
God put all the food on the earth for us to eat, to heal us. We shouldn't be paying doctors for getting you well. They should be paid like they should be paid not because you're sick, but because they've created a community of well people.
Right.
Like what a concept. And then he told them, if you don't believe me, go ask Auntie Google. So
Auntie Google.
Wow.
Right.
so for the rest of the day, they looked at me, Miss Carla, Auntie Google.
Auntie Google.
They also learned that in the colony, I'm the queen bee.
Okay.
So they figured this out. They figured.
Okay.
When they started learning about bees and beekeeping, I'm like, wait a minute. You guys are you do all the work. You have the brain power. I'm just here to help you.
Right.
Facilitate it.
Wow.
So it's beautiful, Brother John. Of the 15 young people, 13 of them came of their own free will. One just had some ordered stuff to do that couldn't, and another had a death in the family, couldn't make it. So to see that outside of a program where you're getting a stipend,
where you're mandated,
right? Where you're getting a stipend, you're like, we want to hang with you. That's just beautiful and brilliant. And to watch them try to different types of foods, to eat leaves that they would never ever would have tried or sampled before.
Of course.
That's brilliant. So they
That's
look at me, they're like,
amazing.
Miss Carla, eat anything. But if you're gonna lead, to me, if you're gonna lead, you better be the one to open your mouth and try it.
Right.
So like, look, I'm still living, I'm good.
Right.
And the things that are so bitter, right?
Yeah.
And
the bitter vegetables and fruits.
One of the things that Jug told him, he said, oh, yeah, you don't want to eat that. But when they go to cut you open to give you surgery, you're going to lay on the table and be like, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when you could eat these preventative medicines, it's all in the plant. So it was deep. Naturally, when we debriefed and I said, who did you guys really enjoy today? I always go over what did you like and how can I better my best?
Wow.
So how could we improve even what we did today?
Wow.
Oh,
And they are in love with Jug. They just came out of nowhere like, we want him to help us design our garden.
Absolutely.
So they get it. And he told me he gave them black soap. He gave them juice.
Yeah.
He gave them. I had to go on my purse and be like, I don't even know how much money is here. Here you think.
Yeah,
but it's
take
just
it.
how
Just take
family.
it.
It's just family.
Yeah.
And then they started supporting and buying shea butter.
Yeah. I
so
seen everybody had the juice. It was an amazing.
he gave that to them.
How much longer is the program?
So this Thursday is the last day for the 6 weeks, but it was a pilot, so 6 weeks. I'm asking for extensions over the next couple of weeks because there's still so much for us to do in terms of community outreach. I need their involvement as we select the next group of. There's going to be a fall program as well, so y'all start gearing up.
Hey, I want to get some volunteers in there.
The fall program, we're still trying to shape it, and we're trying to shape also the fact that you have these new young people coming in, and then I really want the existing young people to be focused on the development of the farm, the development of the cooperative, naming the farm, bylaws. When are you meeting?
Oh, like really putting it together.
Yes, and them in the lead. We're going to go to the CAC meeting on August 6th at the Sunshine Center and present to them. The 18th of July, there's that meeting at City Hall, which is centered around the soil remediation. And it's a lot of money being approved. They don't need us there, but we want to come. We want them to see our face. If something is happening with the farm, we want you to know, this is important to us because it will help solve issues in our community with health. It's therapeutic, too.
Right.
It's therapeutic to get down and play with the soil.
Oh, absolutely.
Shout out to the one and only Carla B and the wonderful
Thank
work she's
you.
doing with you.
Can I just say happy birthday to Miss Winnie Foster? Today's her 92nd birthday.
Happy birthday, Miss Winnie.
Wow,
92nd birthday. And
Wow.
Brother John, when I asked her, what do you want to do for your birthday? What did she say?
Protest.
She wants to protest.
I
So
already know.
it's her birthday.
Wow.
And I mean, keeping it 100
Live
all the
She's
time.
92, right?
I
92.
have that.
At
At
the-
92.
Yeah.
At
And
the
still want to
jail.
fight
I
for the
said,
cause.
what do you mean you want to protest? For what? She said, for the high incarceration rate of black and brown people in
Wow.
Pinellas County. Where do you want to
Wow.
protest? Are we
At the-
going,
at the
are we going to
sheriff's
Williams
office.
Park? No, I want to protest at the jail.
Yeah.
Come
yeah.
on,
So-
teach.
I'm like,
And
what are
that's
your
3
kids?
o'clock. That's 3 o'clock
What are your
today.
kids gonna say about
Today?
that? Say, I
Yeah,
hope
today.
they come.
At 3
At 3
o'clock?
o'clock.
3
on her
o'clock today,
birthday.
3 to 4.
3 to
Okay,
4.
where's that?
Up at the jail,
At the
49th
jailhouse,
Street.
49th
All
Street.
If you know how to get to 49th Street.
14400 49th Street.
What?
I used to get mail
Thank you.
there. Right? I used to get mail there. So I know the address.
See,
right?
I was gonna be like, and it's north
Nah,
of
it's
Overton.
14400.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, we want to give a shout out to Reno Moore. He says, peace and light, health is wealth. JD watching, Jonathan X. Dawkins. My wife is on, Lamenka, Lisa Washington, what up, what up? Inez Inez, you know who you is. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure that y'all share this page, like the page, because it's absolutely live.
Do a live.
We're gonna talk about what's happening in the news. So did y'all see this thing with the armored truck? It was an armored van spilled some money. Did you see that?
I sure did. They were all over collecting.
No, I didn't see that, unfortunately.
Okay, no, it's not right. Unfortunately,
unfortunately.
Where were you when the armored truck money spilled?
Right.
So it says an armored truck spilled thousands of dollars onto a busy highway, prompting chaos, of course, and commuters pulled over to pick up fistful of money.
Of course.
Yes.
On Tuesday before sunset, a fluttering swirl of cash blowing through the air brought traffic to a halt and people into the streets. It was about $175,000 in bills that spilled.
Yes, it was.
$175,000. The bills were scattered on the shoulder on the 6-lane highway. More than a dozen commuters piled up. Basically,
so you mean to tell me we missed our blessing, brother?
We missed our blessing. So here's the question: if you was in in traffic and 175,000 was in a whirlwind, are you pulling over, or are you going to keep going and mind your business?
That's a hard decision.
Put me in the moment. Put me in the moment.
From an ethical standpoint, of course.
Yeah.
You know,
my higher self.
But from a need base, I don't know.
That might have been put right in your path.
Look, brother, the me I'm striving to be,
right,
would have just kept going.
Exactly.
Right.
But the me I am right now, we still working on that.
That's right.
Still working it out.
But you saw they were advertising. So please return the money. If you took any, please return it. It is a federal offense.
Yeah, okay.
Please,
All right. What for the van to let the door open? And that's the federal offense for them tempting people.
Right.
You just picked up lost and found on the highway.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
Don't they take people out there to clean up the highway?
I think so.
So some people helped.
Yeah, that's what it was. They were just helping. That was a civic duty. Then another thing I saw was a ship seized with $1.3 billion in cocaine, and the ship belonged to J.P. Morgan Chase.
Wow.
How about that? Now, you know, because in the community, when we talk about drugs, we always say we don't own the ships, we don't own the planes. Well, on this particular ship, it was owned by J.P. Morgan. Customs and Border Patrol authorities in Philadelphia seized the J.P. Morgan Chase-owned cargo vessel on the 4th of July with nearly 20 tons of cocaine on board. Law enforcement agents boarded the ship in June and discovered the cocaine, which has a street value of almost $1.3 billion. The bank has yet to comment.
Was that the same story of
the submarine?
The submarine?
Yeah, that's a sub.
Yeah.
That's a sub. They moving in the shadows.
Right. Wow. Again, but remember, the young black male who you always associate with drug dealing does not own these ships.
Right.
And so I think that's a great flag for them to be able to note that it's a bank that owns it, and they should have a responsibility.
Who they conveniently label us as kingpins.
Yes. Oh yeah, king. Yeah.
Not kings.
You about to start me? You about to start me on a rant? In other news, also Hurricane Barry. Barry drenches the Gulf Coast. They said it weakened. Barry inundated the Gulf Coast, but appeared unlikely to deluge New Orleans because there was like this fear that it was going to be, catastrophic for the city of New Orleans. I know New Orleans means something to you, Brother Doug.
Yeah, that's his hometown.
You know what I mean? Hometown.
Yeah, prayers going up always.
Yeah. And it seems like the prayers were answered because they said that it's kind of broke up and it's not going to hit New Orleans as hard as they thought that it would. Right. But it is still pounding the Gulf Coast. It's slowly advanced. And like I said, they're doing flash floods in Mississippi and the capital city on Monday. The storm still has a long way to go before it leaves. So the governor said, don't let your guards down. So those of you who are watching, if you're in New Orleans, please stay prepared, stay ready, and be ready for whatever the government tells you to do, man.
Wow.
Another thing I saw, 2 African-American high school boys, a lot of people didn't. Because black men winning at Harvard.
Nope, they didn't publicize
you don't really see
John. That didn't make the headline news.
That's not headline news, but that's what the New Image Project is all about, is really highlighting and spotlighting, and redefining what's cool. So it was 2 African-American Atlanta high school students. They led their debate team to a second consecutive win at Harvard University's annual international debate tournament. making history after achieving an unprecedented, undefeated record, according to a press release on the matter. So shout out to the brothers and the school officials. And then this is what I liked about it. This is what one of the young brothers said after the debate. He said, this is the moment that we've worked so hard for. Our accomplishment is far bigger than us. We are showing the world what black youth are capable of achieving when given equal access, exposure, and opportunity.
Yep.
Check this out. Brother man said, this win is for our ancestors, our city, and most of all for our culture.
Come on,
brother.
On
now.
Come on, man. Let's give it up. Can we give him a round of applause?
Absolutely.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Go ahead, brother.
Man. Shout out. That was amazing. That was an amazing story. And
is there not a follow-up link or anything like that?
It's actually on the page, so you can read the full story on Tampa Bay Breakfast Club.
Okay, good.
Facebook.com/Tampa Bay Breakfast Club, and you'll be able to read the full story with the brothers' quotes and just the amazing story about how they did it. Now, here's something that I saw too. It was interesting. It's not New Image News, but I thought it was kind of interesting, right? So it says a loud fart gives away suspects hiding spot. So, according to Clay County sheriffs, over the weekend, Liberty police were searching for a person on a felony warrant arrest. The person was wanted for possession of a controlled substance. The suspect hid to avoid police, but apparently let out a loud fart.
Oh, yeah. I did hear that.
So loudly that it gave up his hiding spot.
Wow.
Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
Whatever he ate, he wished he had that day.
I'm trying to
He
tell
just
you.
couldn't hold
Was
it.
that them
It
Burger
wasn't
King
meant to be.
tacos or something? I don't
Right.
know. What is that,
Right.
man?
No,
Was
was just
not
in his
meant to
cause
be.
right there. He was meant to get caught.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I hope he ain't had none of that armored truck money in his pocket.
He blew a gasket.
He blew a gasket for real, man.
Thank y'all for tuning in over there. I see him.
Yes. So they joining in on the repair of the black family. And so we're going to really jump into it. So this month, of course, is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, the month of July. National Mental, this is a mouthful for me, so I always mess this up, y'all. So National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month was established in 2008, is developed to begin the process of improving access to mental health treatment and services, and to promote public awareness of mental health, especially in minority communities. We know minority is commonly associated with black people. So black people and mental health has been the focus of our conversation, and really just talking about it from many different perspectives. To help us with that perspective this week, we have our special guest, Sister Nayyirah Muhammad, also Brother Dawood or Brother David Muhammad, and they're going to talk to us about mental health. You have an upcoming summit, and you got something happening tonight, and you've been around the world, and like
trauma.
So we really want to just jump right in. So if you could, for those who don't know you, if you want to give us a brief introduction of who is Sister Nayyirah Muhammad.
Yes. Sister Nayyirah Muhammad, known as Sister Tavika in the city of St. Petersburg, born and raised here. Yeah. I know Carla for a very long time. You, Brother John, I want to thank you all for having us on the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. Mother of 5, wife of 20 years, born and raised, right from the city of St. Petersburg. So it's very near and dear to my heart that I'm here to talk about this, member of the Nation of Islam and representing the repair of the black family.
All right. And who that you got with you?
Got my husband.
You want to tell us a little bit about, and he looked like that too, because he was not prepared to be on camera.
Right.
He came in, he was like, oh, I'm on too?
Yes.
Yes, sir, you are. Yes, sir, you are.
So we're going to let him tell about himself,
Yeah.
Well, yes, I am Brother David Muhammad, or Brother Dawood, also affectionately known as Brother Dawood Muhammad. 2, a member of the Nation of Islam. I am not a native of St. Petersburg, but I have now been here for about 21 years.
Yeah. It's in your blood. It's in your blood.
Right.
Exactly. It is.
St.
I do
Petersburg.
call it home.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's where it is right now. But originally from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'm just elated. I'm happy to actually be able to grace this podium, if you will, with our dear brother John and our sister Carla.
Awesome. So, Sister Nayyirah, when we talk about repair the black family, can you tell us a little bit about that movement? Is that an organization or is it a movement? Talk to me about it.
It's definitely a movement which is developing into an organization because it's really been highly requested literally around the world. We just did our first international trip in London, so that went very well. And basically it stemmed from a position of love, growing up in St. Petersburg, coming from a broken home, desiring to, have that ideal family.
Yeah.
And, through trials and tribulations of life, and really getting a thorough knowledge of myself and, understanding the traumas of the Black family, I definitely felt and know that it's needed.
Right.
We need repair. And will we ever attain it fully, 100% completely? Maybe not in this, in this dispensation of time, but I want to have a mark. We want to have a mark in making an impact to be able to say we contributed to repairing the Black family, which is understood as this. A lot of people, I've had people to say, well, it's just about Black people. No, Black is a universal thing.
Right.
So when you say Black, you're talking about the essence in which all things come from. So when you focus on the Black family, you really focus on humanity.
All right.
And so that's my goal. If we repair the Black family, then ultimately we're repairing humanity. And anyone that's interested in the Black family, white, Black, Chinese, whoever you are, then you have a space in this movement to be able to help us to repair the Black family.
All right, Brother Daoud, repair the Black family. Now, are you just tagging along because your wife got you on a mission? What's your role in the operations of a day-to-day work of the repair the Black family?
Well, my specifically what I do is, of course, I'm the cameraman. And, I run all of the audio-visual equipment. But at the same time...
Which is important because we got to capture and document this stuff, man.
Oh, absolutely, because it's necessary, especially for a movement in which my wife was chosen to do. And when I say that, I don't mean by a person. I mean by our dear Heavenly Father, God, Allah. And it's as how, how we label him. Right. But what I do is I also deliver a communications workshop.
Okay.
And to me, it's very prevalent because what I've learned about communication through not just my years of experience, it's absolutely necessary that we learn how to communicate with one another, whether it's, with our family.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we have been torn, we've been ripped apart by, the devices that have really plagued us as a Black family, but furthering even into the community. We don't know how to communicate with one another.
Real deal.
So that's my sole focus.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up.
And one last thing I want to say.
No,
this
that ain't
too.
the last thing.
Well, in addition to what we just said, I definitely want to give thanks to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for his guidance in my life. And I found my purpose when I joined the Nation of Islam. And doing the repair of the Black family, I can truly say, because of my obedience to him, that I have found what he has found as it relates to using the tools of Dianetics. And I want to thank him because through him, I've been commissioned to go out and help our people understand mental health from an alternative situation.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. So with mental health, being that this is National Minority Mental Health
Could you
Month,
open that up?
and really, highlighting that. What I was going to ask you is, how did you get involved with the subject of mental health? Like, did you have a background in mental health? Because we had people that came on like that are psychologists and, got all these degrees and all that good stuff. How did you get involved with mental health?
Well, first and foremost, let me just say from a personal experience, coming up at the age of, I had my first child at 17. So by 19 years old, I was suffering from anxiety. And so I've been through, being put on prescription medication. I've been through where I experienced psychiatry, psychology, from a personal standpoint.
Right.
Well, I don't want to say genetically because they say genetically, but my father suffered from depression and anxiety. My aunties suffered from depression and anxiety. So I have a lot of personal experience with it.
Right.
Now, going to school, I studied psychology. I never got a degree in it, but I understand it from that aspect, from an educational of this system aspect of it, because I went to St. Pete College 3 years, and I had studied many courses in psychology, so I don't have a degree in it.
Right.
However, now that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan introduced Dianetics to the Nation of Islam, which is the modern science for mental health. I've gone through that training, and I am a professional, what they call auditor, which is a therapist. So I'm very highly trained in that, and I've been able to practice this form of therapy with people. So I guess you can say from a training standpoint, if you look at this particular training, it does average out according to the effects of it as if I had a degree in psychology or psychiatry.
And here's the reason that I lift that up is because a lot of times we take the traditional routes to practicing, therapy, or like you said, psychology or psychiatry, where they medicate you. And I wanted to lift up the non-traditional route that you've taken, and the effectiveness of what you're doing and the work. And we're going to talk more about it as we go forward. But I really wanted to lift that up because I was on a panel, Sister Carla, I don't know if you were there, and one of the things that I highlighted, and one of the things that I highlighted, not that panel,
okay,
not that one,
not the one I heard
not
about.
the one just recently, but here's the thing, I was sitting on a panel, and it was two doctors, with doctor degrees and a reverend, and I highlighted the fact that I'm on a panel and it's two doctors and a reverend, and my title is brother.
Okay,
right.
You know what I mean?
Real talk, though.
Real talk.
And so I'm in the middle of them, but I'm able to really have conversation and really contribute meaningfully to the conversation, even though I didn't take the path that they took. They thought it not robbery to have me on a panel delivering information to the community alongside these people. And so just because you don't have Dr. Nayyirah by your name, I don't want people to trip on that as we start really getting into it, because this thing is for real. Mental health is a real challenge, and there may be some alternatives, methods and tools that we haven't considered. And so I want to really talk about those. And so when we talk about, like I said, the repair of the Black family, this is a question that I have, because I know, like with Brother Daoud, how tough is it to have such a strong wife? Is it tough, man? Is it a challenge? Do you deal with yo, man, let me get some of that shine, or how does that work? What's the dynamic like?
First of all, I want to thank you for that question.
Yeah.
Because there was a level of adjustment.
Yeah.
Right. But what I am really deeply grateful about is that watching my wife blossom as she has really just fortified me in who I am, what I am, and what I'm becoming.
Right.
What I need to be, not just from a me or a selfish standpoint, but for her.
Right.
So it's actually strengthened me in my foundation, in my level of work and participation. And I've actually enjoyed every minute of it.
No doubt.
It hasn't been like a rough ride.
Right.
My wife and I, we do everything together.
That's a beautiful thing, man.
It hasn't really been a struggle at all, because she shares and I share, so therefore we share. Beautiful. And when we share, there's no limits. So.
All right, no limit soldier. Right?
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
But I ask that because when we talk about the Black family, sometimes the roles, and that's like a real thing, right? Where people, they're in competition with each other instead of collaboration, like what you just mentioned. And so I think that's important.
If I may say this, Brother John, and that comes back for me, and being conscious of my role, you know, and when we talk about it from a scriptural or biblical aspect, I understand the order of things, and God does everything in decency and in order.
Right.
And this movement has God at the forefront, you know, so we have to keep the structure of, you know, it's God, Christ, man, woman, child.
Right.
So I understand my role as it relates to my husband. You know, he's still the head of my household, you know. So, but when it comes to this work, I've been positioned by, you know, divine intervention to be out front, but that doesn't take away from my femininity. It doesn't take away from my being a wife. It doesn't take away from my being a mother. So I know what hat or which role to put on at what time.
Right. Awesome.
And that's important when it comes to the family.
No doubt. Sister Carla.
Yes, sir. Well, dang, I'm soaking it in.
I see it's like all over your face. You
right. Well, I will say when Brother David said that, he said adjustment.
Yeah.
So meaning he had the flexibility to begin with, to just simply adjust. It wasn't, so therefore, if you start off with being rigid, right, then there's never room for adjustment.
That King Kong beating on your chest. I'm the man.
Right. And I would think that is a level of pride to say when you're looking at your wife and you're seeing the impact of change. And then to Brother John, what you were talking about before, it's always going to be the people on the ground that's going to change the lives of the people around them.
Right.
So to that is where I address the whole title. And so, yes, there's something to be said for having the professional degree, but there's also something to be said for being where the people are at.
Absolutely.
So, and I think when I said that the young people they were able to relate to Juggler, is because they didn't even realize that it was designed by design that way. Come on, right? Because he's speaking a language that they don't even realize, like, this is a griot.
Yeah.
He's telling stories and everything he's saying, and somehow you're retaining it, and he's able to tell you the numbers of the fruit. He didn't have to hold a book up or anything. He was just there sharing what he's learned, how he plants, the food he eats, the medicinal purposes of the different foods, the leaves on the plant, the value of them. So this mental health thing, I told you yesterday, I went to the Brown Girls brunch, and I'm so excited that they're going to continue that on a monthly basis, because just being in a room, I'm the only one that was like, yeah, sure, if we're going to have this conversation, you don't want to have tissues on the table. I started tearing my napkin because, you know, when you start asking questions about vulnerability.
Yes.
And what do you think of when you think of being vulnerable? And talking about the cape that we wear every day, and being able to lay that down, but being able to recognize that it's not about us laying down the cape for any and everyone. That we still got to be mindful who we share with. Not everybody is put there to share your personal stuff. So it was so rich. To be with a group of women yesterday, I was like, man, that was my food yesterday. It was just being with the women, sitting at the table having dialogue, and it's true from all aspects that we have work to do with. Who said the part about communication?
Brother Dawood.
But just how we communicate, how we respond, how we receive, perception.
Right? Absolutely.
You know, like we struggle with that daily in our community.
Absolutely.
Thinking that, oh, she hating on me, or for what?
So here's what, Sister Nayyirah, I know you're going to jump in on that with perception, right?
She fired me up over here. I just want to let you know.
So go ahead. I don't want to cut your communication.
I just want to say, you know, in what you're sharing as far as being with those group of girls and being with those women and sharing, you know, that is so cultural. That's tribal. We're a tribal people. And that's a part of the destruction of the Black family. We've lost that. That's an art for women, especially. And it's so easy for us to say, well, I don't like that, I don't like this person, I don't like her hair, I don't like, you know, she's a part of this, and you know, this, all of that is another aspect of how the destruction of the Black family, because has taken place. So when you have the women coming together, that's when you know the community rise. That's when you know the family rise. That's when you know a nation of people is going to rise. So it's really important that we continue to have these gatherings and build upon each other's strength, and then also help one another in our weaknesses.
Absolutely. And then speaking of gatherings, so Repairing Minds, Mending Hearts mental health workshop. That's actually coming up on the 27th.
Absolutely.
July 27th. And in the description, it says that this event will introduce an effective tool and a solution to the past, present, and future trauma we face in our lives, and that many people suffer from in silence. And so when you talk about the introduction of an effective tool, what's the tool that you're introducing? Would it be a spoiler alert, or can you tell us about the tool?
No, absolutely.
Can you tell us about the tool that will be introduced?
I would definitely like to tell about the tool. The tool is Dianetics.
Okay.
And it was, like I said, it was given to us as a gift from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. However, the author and the one that put this together is Mr. L. Ron Hubbard. And when you look at the word Dianetics, it's a Greek word. Dia meaning through, and nous meaning mind. And it is known effectively, I'm talking about tried, tested, and proven by myself, right? It is known to eradicate the aberrations, deviations of what one may go through. It is known, tried, tested, and proven to get rid of psychosomatic illnesses that actually the mind is making the body sick. So it's known to get to the root and the sources of the different things that we suffer from as a people, and to really no longer be at an effect of those things anymore. Like once you eradicate, for myself, I suffered from, and I said suffer prior to going through this experience, rape and molestation and rape by a family member from the age 7 to the age 13. 7 to 13 is when he raped me. And it was a brutal type situation for me. Well, I lived with that for years upon years with the cape on as if I'm Superwoman, and everything was okay. But the things that I was going through at home, the things that I was going through in my relationship with my husband, the things that I went through with dealing with interpersonal relationship with men, all of these things, there were some known things about that, but there were some unknown things that would re-stimulate me. Maybe the way he looked at me remind me of my abuser. So with this particular technology, and it's a technology, I'm not offering religion. Because we as a people, we have our own religion. So we're not looking for somebody else's religion. I'm giving you technology as if you're using your cell phone. So once you use this technology, it goes to the root cause of whatever is troubling you. You get rid of that, the known and the unknown, and you're never at the effect of it again. Which means I could talk about being raped and you don't see tears falling down my eyes. There's no emotional attachment. I'm truly in present time. I'm not in that state where I was 7 years old and I'm gonna remember it, but I don't feel the painful and emotional attachment with that. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
So
that makes perfect
that's what
sense.
we're offering.
And I think to your point, what you said, Sister Carla, about how when sisters look at sisters and that perception, right? A lot of times that perception is not in present time about what
exactly.
Like I ain't tripping because you I got a problem with you, but that's a mental thing, right? And so being able to identify these things that deal with perception. Now I know with the tool, go ahead.
I was going to say that, as you were talking and you were saying Dianetics and you're saying L. Ron Hubbard, I know a lot of people associate that with Scientology, and I think you touched on it, but can you clarify? Does that mean that we have to go to the Scientology building to learn about Dianetics? Does that mean that there's aspects of because I thought Scientology was founded or started by L. Ron Hubbard.
Yes, Scientology is founded and started by L. Ron Hubbard. However, he discovered, well, let's say this, Dianetics deals with the mind. Scientology deals with the spirit. It is two separate things. Okay. So what we're dealing with is the mind. My purpose in doing this is to bring it to us so that we can learn by us and be taught by us. If somebody wants to take it to a professional level, of course we have to go to the church, as we did, get it, and then come out and bring it to your community. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, so I think I answered your questions. As far as the religion, Scientology, that's separate from this aspect.
So you're not now part, a Muslim, and you're also a Scientologist.
I am a Muslim that applies Scientology to my life.
Right.
I apply it, right? Which means workable tools, workable solutions, workable things that I can add into my life as if I was using a cell phone or if I was driving a car. It's a tool. It's a vehicle to get me to the next point of whatever I want to use it for.
Methods.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I like the fact that the way that you describe it as a tool, I think that our community can have that and really receive that, because again, once you trying to build a house and you renovating the house and you got a hammer, the hammer has a purpose and you use it for its purpose.
Absolutely.
But once you finish with that hammer, you put it down. You don't use the hammer on everything.
Absolutely.
And so just thinking about it from the perspective of a tool, I appreciate you.
Or understanding, Brother John, that not everything is for everyone.
Absolutely.
But the thing, like what I dislike strongly is when people, in the old days they call throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
If something is good, like you've heard me say, and I'll say it here publicly, that I wish you could find me a program that equally measures to what the Nation of Islam does when it comes to black men.
Right.
When those brothers, might have been the brother that might have jacked me before,
right.
is the brother in the suit on the corner, most respectful, right? So likewise, if there's a methodology inside of an organization, it doesn't mean that you can't tap into what's good.
Absolutely. And I mean, we go into institutions all the time. We go into the school system.
Yeah.
We don't know who's writing the books or what their religion was. We don't know, but we go in and we get something and we really pride ourselves off of that.
Right.
But the person that wrote the book, they may have murdered their mother.
Right.
They may have done so many weird things, but all we cared about is the discipline that we were going to get to help better our lives.
Right.
Just like we're sitting here, we're using this microphone. We don't know who made it.
Right.
We don't know the religion of that person. Right. We don't know what they did, but it's a tool to get across communication.
That's funny too,
because
I hear people say, "Well, L. Ron Hubbard was a racist." They say that,
right.
But what if the Steve Jobs was a racist?
Right.
Would that mean that now you're not going to use iPhones?
Right.
Exactly.
Well, you find out that Bill Gates was a racist, right? Now that means you're not going to use the computer.
Right.
These are tools and things that they develop, but their personal beliefs. And I'm not saying that he was or he wasn't, but the point of the fact is, like the guy who invented, the car, probably didn't intend for black people to use it.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So, and we're a culture, we tend to trust those who people tell us to trust.
Yeah.
You understand? So we don't go in and seek for ourselves, because maybe someone go in and it, like you said, may not be for them. Good. Then it's not for you. But there may be somebody who go in and their life is saved. I mean, go in, get it, and come out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and I wanted to make this point. I go to my doctor's office, right? And when I walk into my doctor's office, they automatically give me a form. And now they are literally putting on there, you have a questionnaire that's going to determine if you're depressed.
Yeah.
It's going to determine if you have anxiety. 5 questions. Just 5 questions can determine your mental health. And then guess what? From there, I am prescribed medication. There was no clinical test done.
Yeah.
There's no blood test. There's no x-ray. There's none of that. But we trust whatever system we're told to trust. And then what ultimately we become the mass murderers in our own homes. And I say that in this concept, especially for the woman. When we start to medicate ourselves and we medicate our families unaware, looking for solutions, then we are actually perpetuating mental death in our homes. So this opportunity for us it's an opportunity for us just to look at alternative solutions.
Right.
And I just would like to expound on something, what I see as a part of the acceptance idea of other theologies when we're talking about something that is a natural way, literally, or an organic way to handle ourselves when it is the subject of mental health, and it's called fear. And I don't mean fear as we are taught it, as afraid of something. I'm talking about the acronym false education, accepted and or appearing real.
Yeah, yeah.
So when something gives us that perception of an education being real, we accept it without really studying or being students as we should be. Right. Of the thing that we really need to learn more about instead of accepting an opinion.
Yeah. Or the dominant narrative, right? Because here's what I wanted to say when you talked about when you go to a doctor and how they diagnose you. So, and I don't think she would mind me sharing. My wife, she went to the doctor, and this was, when my mother-in-law had recently passed. We were dealing with a whole lot of things, and every time she went to the doctor, her blood pressure was up, and so they eventually prescribed her medication, but she knew she didn't need medication. She was like, "Look, I'm just dealing with a lot," and it was like they forced basically the medication on her to say, well, you got to take this medication because XYZ, but she bucked and she doing all right. You know what I mean? But to your point about how they diagnose you and like with the end game of medicating you, and I'm not saying like if you got meds and you got to, I'm not telling nobody don't take your meds. Look, public service announcement. You won't go and do something crazy and say Brother John said don't take your pills. Get a professional opinion. Talk to somebody who know what they're talking about. But if you got meds and you taking them now, look, do what you got to do. But the point is, being mindful of what is somebody else's opinion, is somebody else's diagnosis. And so when we come to the Repairing Minds, Mending Hearts mental health workshop, what can we expect to experience when I walk in the door?
Well, you can expect to experience, number one, culture. We're going to, have our poets, and we're going to have our song and dance and talking and people giving testimony. And then we're going to actually introduce Dianetics.
Okay.
Showing, a couple aspects of the film, showing how this therapy work. And actually doing a seminar, like a hands-on workshop, where one would actually can learn how to, what they say, co-audit, where you actually, you have one person, two people paired up together, and then you can actually take that person through an experience and help them get across the other side so that you can experience.
So what type of so do you need to be like a professional therapist? Is this for like people who are professional people who come in to enhance their repertoire? Is this for like everyday people?
Anyone can come and experience it. The only thing we ask is that you come with an open mind, an open heart, and your own intelligence, to be able to look into it and sincerely give it an opportunity to learn.
So wait, when you say your own intelligence, that piqued my interest. You say come in with your own intelligence, and because that could be a lot of things. Because like what Brother Daoud said, and like we know with the New Image projects, a lot of times the thoughts that we think that they're our own, but it might be something that somebody else told us to think.
This is true,
right?
This is true, and I like to use this when I say my own intelligence, and maybe I'm relating it to my understanding.
Sure.
My mama didn't raise no fool.
Okay.
Right. So I know right from wrong. Right.
Shout out
and
to
I know what's true for me is true for me.
Right.
But when I go into any situations, I'm going in it from a viewpoint that I'm a student and I'm willing to learn.
Right.
I'm not going in with a barrier
to
say, oh, this ain't for me, because then what's the purpose of me being there?
Right.
So I'm gonna go into the situation with, okay, if it don't make sense to me, it doesn't make sense to me. It's not real for me. Thank you for the information, and I'm out of here.
Right.
But if I can go, and I mean really going through the whole process.
Yeah.
But if I can go into any situation, I'm going to sit there, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to find some true data for me that I can apply in my life and apply in my family's life. And now there's a transformation that I know I can make a difference. Then I want that.
Right.
Regardless to where it comes from. And that's why I feel so confident. I feel so safe. I feel so bold that I can go in there, get this technology, and say, hey, look, I need to bring this to my people.
Right.
Because my people trust me.
Right.
I look like them. I come from them, and I understand the struggle.
Right.
And my people, I know that I can make this safe for us.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
With no other hidden agenda outside of, I truly want to see you do better.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to invade your space as Sister Carla with the art and try to tell you, well, you can't do that anymore. You need to focus on this.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
So that's my passion. That's my love. So I say that when a person coming to this event, you're truly going to experience healing.
Yes.
You're truly going to experience love. You're truly going to experience people that really care for you, white or black, that may be in that building because they want to see you do better as a alternative solution to that which is causing us harm.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
So, and I understand the psychiatry industry. You know, I'm doing lots and lots and lots of studies, and it's hurting my heart to see our babies where they can I was just studying when the baby is born, as soon as the baby is born, they have newborn bipolar. As soon as they open up their eyes, they can diagnose them with bipolar. You can find this in this DMS statistical manual video. You know, that they're opening, as soon as the baby opens its eyes, it can be diagnosed with bipolarism. You know, what they say, 80% of our children in 88% of our children that's in foster care, they're on medications. Then we wonder, when our city, we're having these mass shootings and we're having all of these things, even if they're not on the medication anymore, there's still some effects.
Right.
It's not side effects. No, this is the effect of the drug, right? So I guess I just want to say, Brother John, I don't know where I got all the spirit. I don't know where I'm at, but all I'm saying is I just feel like, I'm just very happy. I'm very excited that as a resident of St. Petersburg, one that has actually caused some harm in this city, growing up, that I can come back now with a tool to be able to help my people.
And I want to lift up what LaDonna Butler, she was kind of echoing what you were saying. Well, no, that's not LaDonna. I read it wrong. That's Ladina Muhammad, just be willing to learn with an open mind. Lisa Washington, also an open mind. Aaron McFarley saying speak. Royce Wheeler say love it. Nola Muhammad, teach on that tool, sis.
You know what I was going to ask, as somebody who, and Brother John, you and I did work with crime survivors for safety and justice, and so knowing how trauma can be.
Yes.
Do you have? Is it wise if someone recently received something that was traumatic and haven't dealt with it, like that new wound versus that old wound?
Very good question.
In this setting, do you have any type of recommendation for our listening audience?
Yes, as it relates to dealing with the tool, or just as an individual?
Coming to the summit.
Oh, coming to the summit. Absolutely.
If I just had a loss that was traumatic last weekend, should I come?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I would say this for the being, now understanding this technology, we're learning the science of human behavior. So we are actually learning what state of existence that person is at just by looking at them. Right. So we know if we should apply this right now, or should we get the person in the knowledge of this, but there's some other things, light things that we can do just to get that person from a state of pain into present time.
Right.
Because if the person is so deep down in grief and anxiety and just hurt about the situation, it may be too much at that moment.
Too much too soon.
Too much too soon.
Yeah.
But however, we have different ways that we can actually, even just in conversation, bring that person up to a level of awareness where they can confront the pain. And that's a lot of things too. Learning this technology, many of us can't confront the pain, so it's easier to mask it with drugs because it takes it out of view.
Right. Wow. Okay, and so again, repairing minds, mending hearts, mental health workshop is July 27th. What time? And give me. I thought I had it here, but I don't have the time and location.
So it starts at 12. Well, the doors open at 12. It starts at 1.
Okay, so
what's the location?
Location is, here we go. I got it right here, Brother
There
John.
we go. That's it.
All right, 2100 26th Avenue South, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Where is that? Is that the Sanderlin?
No, that's
26th Avenue.
2100.
The Spear Center.
Okay, got it.
And
it's I'm from here. When I saw that address, I was trying to place where is that at?
Yes. So, there's an Eventbrite, so you can find it on Eventbrite.
2100 26th Avenue.
Yes, so you can find it on Eventbrite. We will have food. It's free to the community.
That was gonna be my next one.
Oh, absolutely! Come on now, you know we can't have nothing for black people. We got no food.
Well, no, but you have food and it's free.
Yes, come on.
Together.
That's right.
Usually don't come together.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would say, you know, coming into this, you'll learn all about yourself. You'll be able to identify yourself in the videos, because I know when I first watched it, one of my success stories in going through it is that I lost my father in 2001, and we got it in 2010. However, every time his birthday would come, every time his death anniversary would come, I would be literally crying. I couldn't remember the good times about my dad without having some type of emotional attachment to it. And I would I would tell my husband, well, I like to say this, which is true, like 2 weeks before his birthday, I would really go into like non-function mode, you know, like literally what you call depressed, which is really emotions.
Right.
I would be in the bed. You know, if somebody died in your family, I really couldn't come to your funeral because I was automatically back in his funeral.
Yeah.
So going through this, I was able to find the source of why that pain, why I was in so much grief about my father's passing, was because it was connected to my little brother's passing when I was at 4 years old. So I was able to find what was the root of my emotional pain and death. And that was because when he and I was going across the street, he was killed. I stayed there. So I seen death very young at an early age, and I was able to eradicate everything that was attached to that and came up out of all of the grief and being present time.
And I also want to share like my experience with Dianetics, because I'm not just here as the host or, you know, the invitee to let you all speak on it. I have a personal story, personal testimony. I too am certified to deliver Dianetics auditing. A little rusty, haven't done it in a while.
Brother John, have you audited me and I didn't know?
I'm sure
been audited.
Have you been audited? Right?
Look, it looks like I cleared. I'm at the table.
Right.
But I really have to bear witness that a lot of the work, you know, that I've been able to do since 2010, 2011 has been a direct result of me going through and handling and confronting a lot of the things that were in my past that I didn't know were there. Brother Dawood is an excellent auditor. We confronted some of that stuff together.
That's right.
And he helped bring me through it. And so I'm here to tell you, Dianetics is the truth, man. It really works. It has worked for me. And please make sure that you show up on July 27th. Doors open at 12. The workshop starts at 1 o'clock. Repairing Minds, Mending Hearts, Mental Health Workshop. This event is for both men and women, and we will help to heal the minds. It's a workshop that will train you on how to handle mental illness, trauma, and dissatisfaction. And we know we got a lot of that going on in the city of St. Pete. What we're going to do is land the plane with any final thoughts. So we'll start with you, Brother Dawood.
Yes. Thank you so very much for this opportunity. I just actually want to plug in this barrier that some of us might be thinking about. Don't let the check that we get, that some of us get, to be on these medications prevent you or stop you from coming to this event.
Wow.
If you really want a chance at relief, then come get it. That's all I have to say. All
right, Sister Nayyirah.
Oh, I want to say thank you, Sister Carla, thank you, Brother John, thank you all that listened and tuned in. I want you to know I'm your sister. I love you. It's safe for you, and understanding that something can be done about it. And is unity. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says our unity is more stronger than an atomic bomb. So I want to work in unity with all those who care about the Black family.
All right. Wow. The one and only Carla B.
This Friday, come out and celebrate our youth from the Youth Farm. Yay. We're going to do a little bit of a wrap-up. You guys will get to hear from them directly, what they've learned, how the experience has been. And I really invite you to join us this Friday at 6 p.m. at Enoch Davis Center. Look on my social media page. I'm sure it's all over there.
All right. Final thoughts. So, 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. between certain ages live with mental health, according to the National Health Institute, but most don't seek out professional help. and that's particularly prevalent in our community. As you mentioned, like growing up in our households, we suffer from depression, but we don't call it depression. We just say that he tripping, you know, or he angry, or he mad about something, or he special, or he touched. We got all of these ways we talk about it, and we don't seek help. And so I just want to encourage everybody, man, look, during Mental Health Month and beyond, make sure that you reach out to somebody if you believe that you really need to talk to somebody. If you're feeling feelings and you're thinking about harming yourself and all of that stuff, man, reach out to somebody. Do your research. Like I said, I have personally benefited from Dianetics. I haven't had any other professional therapy, but I'm doing all right. Dianetics has been an amazing tool for me. Choose your mental health care provider. That's a big decision. And so make sure that you do your research, and you can absolutely start by coming over on the 27th of this month. Again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. This has been the Sunday edition of the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. You can catch us tomorrow morning at 7:30 on 99 Jams the Berg and right here on Facebook Live. I'm your brother John.
This is the one and only Carla B.
And we out. Y'all have a good day. Believe it, do good.
Brother John, what I heard yesterday was, if your therapist ain't seeing a therapist, don't see your therapist.
If your therapist ain't seeing a therapist,
meaning if you yourself are not seeking growth, why am I coming to you?
Wow.
So that was a good one.